Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right now I kind of owe you a bunch of videos about all my latest rank 3s and then like a bit more in-depth review and showcases of them. We have Mr. Negative to do, we have Ultron to do, Diablo at rank 3, and well, Hercules. I think I did one, but I'll probably do another one on Hercules as well. Right, so we're going to be taking a look at Ultron in today's video as a rank 3 6-star unduped. Vast majority of the fights are going to be with no synergy teams at all whatsoever, or with very specific kind of like setups that I'm going to showcase later on. So first of all, there is this theory where he needs to be fully synergized, or at the very least synergized with MODOK and Hulkbuster to get like a huge damage output. And that is going to be the first thing that we're going to check out here. So this is going to be the same synergy setup, no boosts active. First fight is like fully synergized with White Magneto pre-fights active, with War Machine giving him extra attack as well. And obviously Hulkbuster and also MODOK basically increasing his damage output even further. And we're going to see that he is a damage dealing machine. I believe Ankit has uploaded a takedown of Abyss Omega Red. I'm gonna do some Labyrinth of Legends fights at the end of the video as a special finishing treat as well to showcase him at his best. And we're gonna see that, yeah, he definitely has a lot of damage there. So we saw that I dropped my first level 2 there. I'm gonna drop my level 1. Now after this level 1 I'm gonna go for heavy attack, and we can see that immediately ticks there for like 8,000 something damage. Can do like a full hit combo. I'm gonna go for another special attack and then 59k crit, and that finished. So there is a lot of damage. That was 50 hits. It's as good as anybody can do pretty much, and his damage output is definitely towards the very tippy top of the game. However, with no synergies at all, how is he going to do? Obviously, I need to be a lot more selective in which special attacks I use, and I will need to basically solely focus on my level 2, because level 1 will not have that extended damage increase basically. So here I'm going to go for my first level 2, and that alone, well, is not dealing as much damage as we did before, but we can see that Winter Soldier's health is melting away anyhow. Right, we can see that there are nice 13k medium crits, the bleeds are ticking for 770, and it is good enough there as well. Right, so now we have our setup pretty much ready to go as well. We have 3 bleeds on Winter Soldier. Needed him to throw that level 1 so I can get in that heavy attack to get even more bleeds. Now we have 7 bleeds. We have a bit of time. I'm gonna go in for a few more hits and drop the level 2 now. And I'm sure you can find some better rotation than I have right now, and I'm sure that you can do even more damage with him as he is. But nonetheless, that Winter Soldier is going to be down in about 67 hits, which is still very high damage output considering the fast pace of this fight. So damage output, obviously synergies do help significantly, but is still great even without any synergies. You just need to be a bit more selective with the special attacks you use, and you need to mainly get your level 2. Now the second bit that I'm going to be showcasing, the second example here, is going to be this node specifically. It is stacking power. And the reason why I'm showcasing this fight from 7.2 is his easy guaranteed access to buffs. Now there are tons of nodes that demand you to be able to either get armor up buff specifically, or just to have access to buffs, starting with buffed up, continuing into this node in particular. Then we had several nodes in villain variant where you gained power drain abilities if you had an armor up active, and I'm not entirely sure if he qualifies, but also Alliance War offensive tactic can slow your roll, where if you have an armor up active, then you can slow the opponent, I believe, and a whole bunch of different things. And that guaranteed access to an armor buff is definitely extremely valuable. Now, I'm not going to be playing perfect in this fight at all, but it's definitely super helpful because you know exactly when that buff is going to trigger. And other than the armor buff, you do not rely on any other buffs for Ultron to function. So even in matchups where gaining buffs is mitigated or negated, it's not like you're losing out on much. It's just kind of like a perfect additional thing for him. Now, if there is like fisticuffs involved or there is something else that nullifies all your buffs, you do not lose your damage output like many champions do. You do not immediately become like squishy or anything like that. It's just a very useful additional thing that you are able to control fully, which is great, which I definitely like. And we can see that it's quite easy to upkeep like 5-6 armor buffs at any given time. So I do like the fact that he has buffs that you can choose not to activate if you don't need to or if it would be harmful. And also the fact that he doesn't lose out if you are basically forced to play without having buffs active on you. Moving on, this is going to be just a quick showcase that against mutant champions that bleed turns into a Degen, and we do have more and more nodes recently that interact with Degen. However, we do not have all that many champions that have access to Degen, and even though it is situational and only against mutant champions, still Ultron being one of the handful of champions who has access to Degen obviously is superbly helpful. Not to mention also the bleed immune mutant matchups like, I don't know, let's say Colossus or Apocalypse, where Ultron tackles them splendidly. And also, this was quite quick, rapid fight that I just enjoyed a lot. Now we're going to be taking a look at his bleed damage itself, because that's one of the things that a lot of people also don't realize, that with all of those attack modifications, he can dish out an insane amount of bleed, and in this case in particular, I'm going to be having a bit of fun with bleed vulnerability. So we can see that thanks to bleed vulnerability, basically we get 200% damage increase, and that only, that does not only increase the amount of bleeds, it also increases your general damage output. So just as a quick example of a variant fight here, we're going to see that a variant fight is over basically as soon as you reach a level 2. And that's just, again, a bit nutty, a bit crazy, and incredibly fun. We're going to go up against procs as well. I think I'm going to make a little kerfuffle here as well. But again, so this is a bleed vulnerability. Bleed vulnerability functions in a way when you have bleed active on opponent, you gain 200% attack increase. That obviously increases your bleeds twofold, but it also increases your regular hit damage. In this case, against Proxima, I did eat a combo, but we're about to see what exactly is about to happen. It's a good slap 24k crit and good night Proxima. Now, another maybe minor thing that more champions do have access recently, for example Hulkbuster, but is the guaranteed stun on level 1. And as long as there's any power modifications involved, you can basically infinitely stun opponents on stuff like Brute Force, which was very common to be used with that Gambit stun lock back in the day, or when you have these energize lanes where both champions have their power rate increased, or when the special attacks cost half as much as they should. Basically, in certain set of circumstances, you can stun lock the opponents. But the entire tech variant, you have that node that extends debuff duration on all tech champions for each tech champion that you are bringing in your team. So for these fights in particular, I stacked my team up with additional 4 tech champions. So that means I have 40% debuff duration increase, which lets me drop a 4 or 5 hit combo and carry on into the next combo. Now, eventually, it would not be an infinite stun lock, but even with, I believe, a rank 4 5-star Ultron, definitely a rank 5 5-star Ultron, because rank 5 and rank 4 champions gain power at a better rate than a rank 3 6-star does, you will be able to maintain this stun lock for extended amount of time, and it would most certainly be long enough to pretty much finish any and all of these variant fights. So that is pretty much exactly the point here in variant. Once you build up to like bar and a half of power, you basically just stun lock opponents and you can nuke them down. And obviously, to a lesser degree, this same strategy can be applied for a whole bunch of other quests. like for instance Tech Cav EQ, where if you drop a special attack, if you trigger function damage, and if you have Hulkbuster Synergy with you, inflict passive heal block, and that starts giving you Fury, so your damage output goes up significantly, and you will be able to continuously stun the opponents and spam that level 1 until they are dead. So these again are variant fights. These are 40 KPI opponents. They're not pushovers, they're not nobodies. We can see that all of them die and they never recover from that first level 1, and it's kind of like a mini Ronin stun cheese. Now, plenty of champions can do that with 100% guaranteed stun chance, but Ultron actually has the numbers for it to be viable to finish these fights out. Right, next up, we're going to showcase the synergy that reduces stun duration. However, surprise, surprise, it's bugged. Boltron can be used to very effectively bypass stuff like encroaching stun. Encroaching stun puts a 3-second stun on you. If you have some points in limber, then 5, 4 armor ups would be enough. In this case, I don't have anything in limber, and this stun should be lasting only for 1 second. However, its duration is not reduced. And I'm going to showcase that once again in a moment, where I'm going to have 6 armor ups when encroaching stun is going to trigger, and I'm still going to get stunned for the full duration. So I have 4 armor ups here, 5 armor ups, parry, 6 armor ups, and I'm stunned. In theory, stun should have been reduced by 3 seconds, and I should not have gotten stunned at all. But it's bugged. Unfortunately, Ultron does suffer from bugs. He got some of them fixed. Some of the bugs now are in his benefit, namely the level 3 one. If you know it, you know it. I made a video about it a while ago. And again, I had 5 armor ups, and I should not have gotten stunned there. So hopefully Kabam fixes that soon, but that would definitely be a very good piece of utility to have, to be able to basically bypass or ignore stun. But yes, and he also is meant to be slow debuff immune, which he's not. So there will be additional bits of utility coming to Ultron, just unfortunately they're not properly functional right now. Moving on, another obviously very huge component from Ultron is that heal. So what I have done here is I quit out the Winter Soldier fight like 2 times, so it was basically at exactly 25%. Now, unfortunately, I did give bigger potions than I should have, so I'm going to have to end up taking quite a few hits on a block, but we're going to showcase the point where Ultron can go from under 30% health in a single fight to over like 70-something, 80% of the health. So we're going to see that I'm going to take a few more hits in a block, whatever. So we are at 22% health here. 22% health. And my first regen has triggered. That first regen takes you slightly above 50% health. You can see that here we go, we are at 51, so it heals up about 30% of your health. You have about 5% wiggle room there. And then once you dip at 50%, you can trigger the second phase regen, and it takes you all the way up to 70-something, 80%. And that is one of the oldest tricks in the game. That was one of, quote-unquote, the smart plays of Ultron back in the day. And it's just very refreshing to see it right in front of our eyes on a champion that's actually viable and usable in modern-day content. And he definitely is a great example of extremely sustainable champion that will let you recover significant amounts of health whenever you do end up tripping up. Next up, let's see which fight is going to be next. Next is the bonus round. So these are the Red Hulk, and I'm going to have a Star-Lord fight as well, just to showcase the damage numbers. Now, currently, Ultron's still bugged. His level 3 gives him indefinite damage and attack increase. I'm not going to use that in any of these fights, because otherwise we'd be spitting just insane amounts of numbers. And, well, I have made a video on that before. But this is going to be his like real damage output, even if that bug goes away. And this is going to be basically what he can do and what he will do. And he is legitimately one of the quicker killers. I think he definitely is in like top 20, probably about top 20 fastest, well, destroying champions in this game, because his damage output can be really nutty. He might not necessarily have the biggest individual yellow numbers, even though some of those can get quite big, like 40k level 1 crit and stuff like that. But those damage over time effects, those bleeds, go crazy. And with all of those attack modifiers that you can put on yourself, those bleeds really do go absolutely insane. Now, I'm sure that there is also some sort of better synergy setup for Ultron than the one that I'm using. But even with without extensive kind of like testing, training, or experience, Ultron's absolutely shredding these massive health pools. And he does it as fast as pretty much anyone. In fact, the biggest drawback, the thing that you should be worried about, is if AI goes passive. When using Ultron, you really want to keep the fight at a high and fast pace. You want AI to be aggressive. You can lose your momentum if opponent's AI is not cooperating with you. But here we can see that Red Hulk is totally melting away. Now, I am a bit further than 65 hits in the fight because we did get clipped, but we're going to see the total hit count in a moment. But Ultron is definitely not taking long to destroy these labyrinth of legends-sized health pools, which are pretty much as big as we can see and can find in a game. Right, so another here, good clap. We can see that he's totally bleeding out there. He's bleeding for like, what, 7-8k tick. Is it 5%? Wonderful. Level 1. Good snap. 23k medium to finish it off. And it is 111 hits. 111 hits to deal with 1.5k health pool. So here's a quick snapshot that I'm using for the thumbnail. But here, let's go up against Star-Lord. So once again, I'm going to activate the War Machine pre-fight just to give him a bit more edge, so to speak, increase the bleed debuff duration, activate White Magneto pre-fight, give those infinite parry stuns, and still further increase attack. And let's just take a look at this Star-Lord fight. It is wonderful. I was definitely having loads of fun playing Ultron. And that is kind of like the best thing. He can be really fun, really enjoyable champion to use, but he is mostly practical. As I showcased at the beginning, yes, obviously fully synergizing him up significantly increases his damage output, but even with no synergies, his damage output is still very good. And then on top of that, you get double immune robot that has regen, that can be run with and without Liquid Courage double edge masteries, that has debuffs and buffs built into him, so you can take him for diss track, for buff top lanes, for plenty of other stuff. And obviously, if you synergize him up, then you have access to passive heal block, then you can bypass stuns and a whole bunch of different things. So you can see another 50k heavy attack capped there. It would be more than 50k. And keep in mind that this Star-Lord's health is like 3.3 million. And already 1/5 of that is gone. And that's first 60 hits. And again, only thing that you really care for in these fights with Ultron is that opponent's AI remains aggressive. That's literally it. Another maybe slight downside at times could be his periodical evade. If you're not used to it, it can throw you off balance in a fight, but it is something that can be beneficial. You just need to learn how to like work with it and work around it. So again, nice heavy attack, 8k bleeds. That's, and well, 8k per tick plus another 1200 something, basically a lot of bleeds there. And now I have 2 of these, and each individual bleed, man. That Star-Lord is just dropping down. So first 106 hits, he is at 60% health. However, we can do better. We will be doing better. That's going to be like exactly the point. So I dropped a heavy attack there because why not? Let's get that smack in him. So my heavy attack damage function is about to refresh. So when I'm going to drop that heavy attack, I'm going to be placing additional 6 bleeds on him. So I drop my level 2 here to get the first attack increase. And now we're going to go for level 1 in a second, I believe. Yes, so I went here for my level 1, and now I just need to drop a heavy attack at my earliest convenience whilst I still have that double damage increase. And again, those bleeds are ticking for well over 8k. I had 12 bleeds active, at which point I dropped level 2. And we can see nice 24k mediums flowing out. And now we have lost some attack, but still fairly good damage output if you ask me. And that Star-Lord is just being dropped away. So at this point, we're recovering a bit of health from all of my special spamming, which is, again, excellent. Which just showcases how Liquid Courage, Double Edge, and most importantly, recoil-friendly this guy is. And now I have 7 functions triggered because regen counts as an additional function. So when I drop my heavy attack, I'm going to get an additional bleed. And unfortunately, I did get tagged there for a bit, but you know, not the worst thing. So I just need him to use it at level 1. Pretty please. So I had 12 bleeds active. Very big damage increase here already. 26k crit. Why not? Fortunately, a wait tripped me up there a bit. Kind of ruining my plans, but let's just go with it. Let's just go with it. I'll let those bleeds tick a bit. And let's go for another level 2 with 9 bleeds. Wonderful. That was a nice 40k crit there, I believe. And still, that damage is just absolutely savage. The damage is definitely savage. 50k capped level 1, 50k heavy attack, and he's ticking for like 14,000 something. So he was ticking for 14,000 here at end. So I'm gonna take a pause there because that is quite awesome. And hit count is 218. So 218 hits to take down 3.3 million Labyrinth of Legends Star-Lord. The dire duration was it was about 4 minutes, this fight. So it's definitely a very quick, very effective fight. And that Star-Lord got absolutely melted. So anyhow, this is Ultron. For all of his kinks and quirks, I definitely do really like and enjoy the champion. I have already been using him for Alliance Quest and plenty of other questing stuff. And yeah, I genuinely do think that he is somewhere up there in tech class. I don't think he's like the best tech champion in the game or anything like that. But the dude can throw down. The dude can definitely throw down, and I'm well happy with my choice of ranking him up. Let me know what you guys think about Ultron. That will do for today's video, and I'm gonna catch you guys next time. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about